For film critic Ephraim Katz, Yasujirō Ozu's approach to filmmaking can be described as being exquisite in its simplicity. There is certainly something about this idea of exquisite simplicity that connects with my own experience of Ozu films. What follows is my attempt to try and gain a better understanding of how Ozu made his films. For critic, screenwriter and director Paul Schrader, Ozu's films try to lift us up out of the ordinary and invite us to contemplate the beauty, the simplicity, the tragedy and the joy of ordinary human life. Film academic Andrew Clevin develops this idea when he writes about Yasujirō Ozu's 1949 masterpiece, Late Spring. For Clevin, Ozu organizes Late Spring's narrative around a range of life experiences based around the routine or repetitive, the apparently benign or mundane, and even the uneventful. Yasujirō Ozu made 55 films in his career and is revered for his extremely personal approach, an approach that has attracted unanimous critical acclaim from film critics and directors alike. Here, for example, is Finnish director Aki Kaurismäki.
Meitä minusta herättää kunnioitusta se, että Ozu ei koskaan ole tarvinnut yhtäkään murhaa, väkivallan tekoa tai laukausta kertoakseen kaiken oleellisen ihmiselämästä. Olen tehnyt 11 huonoa elokuvaa tähän asti ja päätin tehdä vielä 30, koska en suostu menemään hautaan ennen kuin olen todistanut itselleni, että en koskaan pääse teidän tasollinen herra Ozu.
Here are the thoughts of the great French director Claire Denis.
Voir des films d'Ozu. En plus, à cette époque-là, il passait plus souvent en France. Et puis, il y a un cinéma, le Quartier Latin, qui a fait une rétrospective de films d'Ozu, comme ça, un été ou un hiver, je me souviens plus. Et presque par hasard, sans plan, je suis rentrée dans le cinéma et j'ai vu Le goût du saké. Voilà, c'est le premier film de Yasujirō Ozu que j'ai vu. Alors bon, je crois qu'à partir de là, j'ai compris que ce cinéma allait me parler, s'adresser à moi d'une façon qui n'aurait rien à voir avec la cinéphilie.
Here are the thoughts of Donald Ritchie, one of the world's leading authorities on Japanese cinema.
日本人たちがもうこれはもっと日本的な監督ないということをしているんですね。それは確かにそうです。本当に一番日本的な歩みでね、監督と思うんですがね。ところがね、アメリカ的とか日本的とか英国的、本当に深くなると国際的になっちゃうんですよ。東京物語とか晩春爆秋見るとね、本当に理解することできます。本当にやっぱり私たちよくわかる人間だということですね。その下には人間のものは気持ちはほとんど同じ、考え方違うかもわからないけど、気持ちほとんど同じです。
The renowned director of screen and stage, Lindsay Anderson, continues to give us his thoughts on Ozu.
It's often thought, I know, that films get out of date or seem old-fashioned. I don't really think they do. Particularly not films that are made in the classic and absolutely straightforward spirit of Mr. Ozu. He had great understanding, and that understanding is still present in his films. And it's an understanding of the life that we all have to lead, with an honesty that is constant, and also a kind of irony that gives them the right kind of humor without ever being sarcastic. That's why I think Ozu survives, and his work survives, as the work of one of the great directors of the cinema.
For Clevin, and for Katz, and for Schrader, and indeed myself, the simplicity of Ozu's approach reveals the beauty in the banal, and the joy in the ordinary and uneventful. Led by these thoughts, I decided to take a closer look at the construction of Late Spring, and conduct an experiment to see how an Ozu film really works. For the purpose of this experiment, I decided to use the pivotal moment in Late Spring, when Noriko and her father, Somiya, discuss the concept of happiness. Somiya is so keen for his daughter to marry, he dupes her into marriage by telling her that he is planning to remarry himself. Noriko does not want to leave her father alone, but understands that she must do as her father wishes. In the sequence I have chosen, father and daughter come to a mutual understanding regarding their futures. I chose this sequence because it perfectly encapsulates the idea of exquisite simplicity that I am interested in. This is a pivotal moment. Both father and daughter's lives are about to change forever, and yet Ozu's style does not allow the significance of this fact to overshadow the simplicity of the sequence. Ozu's style is most obvious when he is shooting conversations. He would position his characters side by side or facing each other. He would place his camera in between the characters, normally square on and at eye level. He is probably best known for his tatami shots from the point of view of somebody kneeling on a tatami mat. Ozu uses these tatami shots for almost every camera position in his films. He favours composition over everything else, so this shooting structure really locks the characters into position. When they do something that breaks the composition inside the frame, it makes it even more striking and meaningful. While making this project, I was curious to find out what other aspiring filmmakers like myself thought of the Japanese master. I gathered some peers and classmates together and asked them 2 questions. The first question was, do they like Ozu films? The second question was, do they feel Ozu is still relevant in 2015?
Served on the floor.
Is now Japanese?
Be symmetrical. I think he's very interesting and he's very different. You don't see, even nowadays, you don't see his style very represented as much anymore.
I like Ozu because he's not that focused on the story itself, because nothing really happens throughout all of his films. What he does is he just shows a different way of telling a film. Also, that I like that he does loads of sort of empty shots, empty rooms, and just plants.
Not really, but I think he offers a unique window into mundane family life, and I think that's important today.
My experience of Ozu is fairly positive. I think he's obviously different, but I think he's culturally and historically relevant, especially to Japanese filmmakers, because he makes a good comparison. How would you say it? I think with I think his shots, his choices of shots are interesting in terms of like pillow shots and tatami shots. I think they're another way to make films. And that's usually like differences in filmmaking usually spawns like movements. So I mean, any difference seems to be positive.
He has probably more influence than right now especially on mainstream cinema than we think. But because he's not very well known to, at least not to general public who watch movies, Ozu wouldn't be familiar to them. So
I think he'll always be relevant just because he's so singular in how he makes his films.
Yeah, I only saw actually the other day that he went to the top of the director's poll on the Taste of Cinema chart, so it must be pretty relevant.
I have put together this sequence of shots to see if I would be able to capture this Ozu-ness that is ever present in his style and films. In doing so, I have found that it is not as simple as lowering the camera down and pointing it at pretty scenery or objects. I have found that it is very hard to capture the contemplative nature of what is being shot. Maybe in some way what we are seeing is the direct attitude of the director while he was shooting. Learning about Ozu during the making of this project has changed the way I view every film. And as an aspiring filmmaker, I know that my future style will be endlessly influenced by the style of Ozu's films.